Welcome back. You're still watching the Afia Morning Show. Thank you for staying tuned. I mean, party after party, Afia Radio 99.3 FM officially turns 2 today. But we can't party forever. We have to circle back to other issues making the news in Enugu State and across Nigeria. As we did see it on the dailies this morning, The Nation, which said that EFCC has started to interrogate, investigate, to drill the Sujimoto CEO. Joining us now to assess the reaction so far is Barrister Chiagozie Nwabuko, a legal practitioner, conciliator, and chartered mediator. Thank you once again for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Good morning, Natalie. Good morning, Oji.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
So reactions have been rife this period. We've seen everybody, the news has gone round. Everybody's talking about it. Different reactions. Some believe that, oh, the whole smart school thing is a scam. This exposes it. Some believe that it's Sujimoto that is to blame. Some believe it's the Enugu State government that's to blame. I mean, what is your own reaction to all of this? On which side do you pitch your tent?
Well, I'm not pitching my tent with anybody, but I think that from the outset, there was something wrong with that contract. There was something definitely wrong with the contract. Judging from the reaction from the government of Enugu State and also from Ogundele, who is also the CEO of Sujimoto's. Understand? So one of the first red flag for me in that contract is that a bond was taken out in JS Bank, and then the payment for the contract sum, the mobilization, was paid into a different bank. So for me, it's a very big red flag, because how do you ensure that the project is carried forth? Because what happens is that in a contract for construction, especially in real estate, you take out a bond. It's called a performance bond. Now, the performance bond is taken by a third party, that is the bank or insurance company, that makes sure that that contract is performed. Now, the payment was made in a different account of Zenith Bank. That means that there's something to ensure that that contract was carried into effect. If they had done that, there would be no need for Enugu State government to engage EFCC, because if there's a shortfall in the contract, the insurer or the insurance company or the bank who the bond was issued through will not take responsibility for the problems orchestrated by the contractor. But it didn't happen. So it was more or less like an unprotected contract, an unprotected deal. That's why Enugu State government had to go through EFCC to enforce the breach of a contractual obligation. It was a contract ab initio. So but there is this picture as if it was a crime, but ab initio was a contract.
Let's talk about the bond, because
Yes.
many people see bond. I understand bond is a guarantee.
Yes.
Could you break down what a bond means and the expectations from each party involved?
Okay, talking about bond, especially in businesses like this, in real estate, construction, or property, it's called a performance bond. And then in a performance bond, they have two stages. They have what we call the bid bond, and then the payment bond. Now, the bid bond ensures that the contractor has the capacity to enter into that contract. Now, in a bond, there are three parties. You have the contractor, who is the obligee, who will have to perform the contract. You have the person that gives the contract, that's the investor. Then you have the third party, who is either a bank or insurance company. Now, the contractor has the duty of making sure that he presents every facility, every material to the bank to show that he can perform this contract. Now, this bond is like a surety by the bank or the insurance company to ensure that the contractor carries on the contract. Now, at the bid stage, when the contract is being bidded for, the bond is taken out. The first stage is what is called the bid bond, that ensures that this contractor has the capacity, has the finance, has the contractors under him, the subcontractors, and have the capacity to carry out this contract. After that stage, the next stage is called the payment bond, that ensures that this contractor will actually perform the contract. If the contractor fails, then the investor will now hold the bank responsible, because the bank will ensure that the contractor carries out the contract.
Right.
But it wasn't done. That was why they had to use the EFCC to pursue him.
There's something that you made a salient point right here. So let's track back to it, right? You said unprotected contract. Did Enugu State government get too excited about Sujimoto's track records of building luxury homes, skyscrapers, and all that stuff, and gave him too many free hands, to just do his thing and all that stuff without checkmating him?
I think I wouldn't want to fault the Enugu State government Rather, I want to see that His Excellency wants to deliver, right? He really wants to deliver before the reopening date of the schools in September. However, there was a little breach because by virtue of procurement.
Sorry, the reason why I'm pointing this out because there's complaint that he wasn't even attending meetings. Because there's always a review with all these contractors.
I'm coming to that.
Okay, go ahead.
Because initially, pursuant to a Procurement Act, you don't give a mobilization beyond 30%, right? Enugu State government gave 50% of the contract sum. For me, I think the government was in a bid to get the contractor to do work very fast so that funding will not be a challenge.
Yeah.
Contrary to the Procurement Act that limits it to 30%. Now, the area you're talking about has to do with the fact that the project, I don't think it was monitored. Because once you take out a bond, there has to be a technical committee that monitors this project, especially when that project is time-bound. It was supposed to deliver within 6 months, right? So I think that the government was in a bid to get the project off the ground, had to give 50%, contrary to 30%, and then give a window of 6 months within which the contract will be performed. But I think the contract was not monitored. That was why at the end, we followed the news and saying that some of the meetings were meetings that were belated. The meetings that Sujimoto was invited to were belated. Contracts should be monitored on a monthly basis by a technical committee of the investor. So Enugu State invested as big as 5 billion. I think that Enugu State government was not monitoring this contract because if it was monitored, these contracts were monitored from day one by a technical committee. We don't have these problems. I don't think it was monitored.
So it was a trust that went wrong.
Definitely. That is my assessment because if it was monitored, most of the projects will not be at the foundation stage.
Mm-hmm.
Also stating that Enugu State lured him into building these smart schools, right? That what he's cognizant or conversant with is, building skyscrapers and all that. So I beg this question all the time. What's the difference between building? You build luxury skyscrapers. So what's the difference between that and just building a one-story building or two-story building pertaining to the smart school? So the term lured is my issue here. And that, okay, see, so that since it's concrete and sand mixing together, we can do it now. So regarding this, the term lured, and him stating that is not the thing he does, right? So why then did he take the contract worth 11 billion, 50% paid, 5.7 billion, and now he's complaining that this is not what he does, that he was lured.
Right.
I think that he's indicting himself. That video was self-indictment because he's saying that he's not competent in that area. Why did you accept the contract? So I'm very clear. I'm not competent. I can't do this.
The difference between
let's look at what we saw on The Nation this morning too. Initially, according to that report, the state government wanted to give him 30%, but the Sujimoto CEO pled for 50% in order to fast-track the project, and that was given. But according to what's on ground is apparently, according to that same report, not worth up to 750 million naira, despite being given 50%, 5.7 billion. For that.
Now, that is where the government is leveraging on the issue of premeditated fraud. Because at the outset, he said, from his own evidence that has gone viral, he says, I don't have the capacity. I've not done this kind of projects before. I'm only good in doing luxury apartments, high-rise luxury apartments. I have not done similar projects before. If he said he's lured, he's simply saying that he had that criminal intention of going there to defraud Enugu State government. So it's self-indictment for me, as long as I'm concerned.
Let's take a look at reactions now. We'll look at a Bitcoin chief and his first take as shared on social media on X. According to the posts, I'm sure we'll have that on screen so that our viewers can also follow up as I read this. He said, the Enugu State government is suing Sujimoto for collecting money and abandoning the job. My question is, are there no construction engineers in Enugu State who could have been given this job? What is the role of Enugu's young people beyond Otimpu jobs? Who will our elites trust? When will our elites trust our young people enough to give them life-changing opportunities like this? Chuki from Anambra State built Solution City. That's how you keep money in the States. Trust your young people with big contracts like this and monitor them to ensure they deliver. Take 2. I must make this clear to everyone. This is another poster. I must make this clear to everyone who follows my opinion in the Sujimoto versus Enugu State matter. I am not against Enugu State awarding a contract to Sujimoto. Sujimoto is a Nigerian and should be able to bid on contracts anywhere in Nigeria. Still, I think local Enugu contractors should be prioritized if they can also execute the same project. And last year, based on what Enugu State government posted that Sujimoto was coming to invest in the state, I was happy and I congratulated him because I thought it was the same opportunities I saw that made me invest over 1.8 million in the state in the last 2 years. So he's asking for more transparency in projects in the states, and he's saying that we have yet to know the major partners who own things like Enugu Air, presidential hotels, etc., and how much of the businesses they own and how many the state owns. I repeat, Sujimoto is not a fraudster or a scammer. I just feel that neither he nor Enugu State handled their business relationship well. And that is the collection of takes by Bitcoin Chief as shared on X. What's your reaction?
Well, the issue of Ogundele not being from Enugu State, I don't think it arises. If he has the competence, he's a Nigerian, and then the company, I think, is also registered in Nigeria, right? So I don't think that issue will arise. However, it is also good that if you have competent hands in Enugu, you engage them. It's part of human capital development, especially when Sujimoto has no personal investment in Enugu. He does his business, he repatriates the money back to his Lagos. And what they tell us, Lagos is someone's land, and we can go back to our Enugu. So there's nothing wrong with Enugu State government giving contract to somebody they believe they can deliver. However, I think going forward, we should think about empowering our people. People of Enugu should be empowered when it has to do with businesses and contracts. If they are competent, there are competent hands in Enugu that can do this work even better. So we should also consider our people first. Secondly, my takeaway from all this from this comment is that we should handle contracts as it ought to be and monitor it. There has to be a technical team that monitors contracts. You don't just give contract to a company and then let the company frolic with your time, with your money, because that is evidently what happened. The contract was not monitored. As long as it was not monitored, if it was monitored and then the proper checks and balances were set in motion, we wouldn't have these things that happened.
Well, bringing a tribal undertone to that, though, I don't believe that. Me too. I'll counsel that because I'm seeing so many people in the digital spaces, or sphere, bringing the tribal sentiments, even that is because he's this and that. That's why they're not. I'm just saying.
All right, let's take a look at another reaction then. This one is according to a post by Alex Onia on X as well. And I'll just summarize the key points, not verbatim, but this is essentially what he's saying. He is trying to categorize or explain the news. He says Enugu paid Sujimoto 500 million naira per smart school, but after 2 years, the work is substandard. Sujimoto prioritizes his image over the destinies of children meant to resume learning in September. The contract award process lacks transparency, questions around the bidding and contractor selection. Many competent contractors in Enugu could have delivered better results. Government should not be run as a personal affair. Due process exists to prevent such failures. Sujimoto must face the law for failing in his contractual obligations. And of course, he's harping on payment and poor delivery, reputation versus children's future, a lack of due process, local capacity ignored, and general issues around accountability. Now, that's a summary of this post. What do you make of the key points that Alex Onia, foremost educationist, has raised?
I think it's also in line with the first comments that we took. It's all about, getting competent hands to do competent things and then to monitor it. It's not because Sujimoto was good in building high-rise luxury homes. You are going to, try to get him to replicate what he doesn't know what to do. In fact, he has actually said openly that he has no capacity. He sees it in the terms of cement and sand. I mean, he doesn't know what he's doing.
Do you believe that?
Obviously,
or it's just an excuse?
He was childish. He said it's all about cement
and concrete.
And concrete. So he wasn't thinking about the lives of the pupils. Okay. He was about the building can cave in and kill our Enugu people. He wasn't thinking about that. That's why the government is not reading an underlying fraud. You don't know this thing, and yet you pose yourself as if you know it. So I can endanger the life of Enugu people.
All of that.
This representation from
something I want you to look at, right?
Yes.
The bond, Jais Bank.
Yes.
The contract's money is being paid, Zenith Bank. Do you think somebody in the government also got a hand in this?
Somebody was compromised. And I would like Enugu State government to follow it through, because it's a big embarrassment to the government. No matter how we are downplaying it, it's a big embarrassment. A bond was taken. Now, you see, what I'm talking about the bond, especially the bid bond was the bond that was used to assess Sujimoto's before the contract was awarded to him. There was actually there should be a pre-qualification for him to have won that bid if there was a bid. Naturally, there should be a bid. So the bid bond was to make sure that he was qualified, and he was abandoned. So on what premise was that money released to him in another bank that was not there was no bond
and
in another account?
Another question would be, when he received the money in that Zenith account, why didn't he raise alarm? I mean, there are many things he didn't raise alarm about.
Who paid the money to?
There's so many questions.
It's part of
Questions. All right.
It's all part of it. Who paid it?
Who paid the money? He was the recipient,
Where did
right?
Oversight come from? Why didn't he? Because he did not escalate payment into the account that did not have the bond. Had he reversed the money, then the right payment would have been made to Jai's Bank, which he knew he obtained the bond from. Secondly, he talked about security threats at some of the locations of the smart school. He did not
talk about his waist.
And the waist injury, which could be quite serious. We don't know, but he also blamed that for the delay.
You don't bring all these things to the forefront because
at the very end.
Right?
So what's the place of escalation? So you can see that there's that opaque follow-up in his case.
Yes. You see, what actually happened is that, yes, you're talking about him moving the money from Zenith Bank account to the Jai's Bank. Remember, the Zenith Bank account is the account he had already supplied to Ministry of Lands in Enugu State. Understand? So it's like it was an account he used for another business, because it was another account that was already domiciled with the Enugu State Government Ministry of Lands. So they had that account already.
But if it was a case of convenience, the thing I'm saying is he's the contractor, many years of experience, started in 2013, trained in France.
That's what I'm saying.
If you get the money, why don't you return it?
Both parties are to blame. Remember, it was a government he was dealing with. It was not a private arrangement. It was a government arrangement. It was a public procurement business. He felt maybe I'm not holding his brief. He has not briefed me. I'm not holding his brief. But I think that he must have thought that, well, the government paid into this account. Let's just judge and do the business.
So there are people that are looking at the smart school issue now, and based on this incident, based on the revelation, this case of Sujimoto, they are saying that the entire idea of the smart school project in Enugu is a big fraud.
It's
that
not.
Based on what they've seen,
again,
that this unveils issues in the Enugu Smart School project.